The colony beacon had been silent for years. Then it lit up, broadcasting coordinates to a planet that doesn't exist on any map. Jenna stared at the flickering console, her heart racing as the familiar hum of the ship's engines faded into an unsettling quiet. The coordinates pulsed, a rhythmic heartbeat that seemed to echo in the darkness of the derelict spacecraft. It was an invitation, or perhaps a warning. She had been drifting through the void for months, the only survivor of the ill-fated mission to the Trion system. The crew had vanished one by one, leaving her alone in the cold embrace of space. Memories haunted her, laughter echoing in the corridors, the soft glow of the stars outside the viewport, and the sudden silence that followed the last crew member's disappearance. Now, the beacon's glow seemed to mock her solitude. Jenna pushed a strand of hair behind her ear, a nervous habit. The screen displayed the coordinates, but the planet wasn't charted on any system. She could feel it pulling at her, a whisper in the back of her mind urging her to investigate. What lay there? Was it a remnant of her past, or a new horror waiting to unfold? As she set the course, the ship shuddered. A flicker of lights overhead sent a chill down her spine. She glanced at the flickering readouts, power fluctuations that shouldn't be happening. The ship was old, but it had never failed her before. Was it her imagination, or was something else at play? A disquieting thought gnawed at her. The ship was responding to the signal, almost as if it had a mind of its own. With each passing moment, the atmosphere grew heavier. Shadows danced in the corners of her vision, and Jenna felt the weight of her isolation. The air was thick with an unshakable tension, as if the ship itself was holding its breath. She recalled the crew's whispers about the cursed planet, tales of explorers who had gone mad, consumed by the darkness of the cosmos. Just a myth, she muttered, trying to convince herself. But doubt clawed at her, and the coordinates continued to pulse, each beat resonating like a warning bell. Time slipped away as she navigated through the ship's systems, her fingers trembling over the controls. The beacon signal intensified, and for a fleeting moment, she thought she saw a figure reflected in the glass, a ghostly silhouette that vanished as quickly as it appeared. "Get a grip, Jenna," she scolded herself. She was a scientist, not some superstitious fool. Yet, as she hurtled toward the coordinates, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched by something that lay beyond the stars. The ship's engines roared to life, pulling her deeper into the unknown. The darkness outside seemed to stretch infinitely, and Jenna couldn't help but feel that the stars were sending her a message. But what were they trying to warn her about? As the ship approached the coordinates, an eerie stillness enveloped her. The starfield outside the viewport was dotted with distant points of light, yet they felt cold and indifferent, as if the universe itself were holding its breath. The coordinates led her to a desolate planet, its surface a tapestry of dark craters and swirling storms, shrouded in a thick atmosphere that absorbed light like a sponge. Jenna steered the ship into orbit, her heart pounding in sync with the pulsing light of the beacon. The planet's surface appeared to shift and change, a living canvas of shadows and swirling mists. She couldn't shake the feeling that the landscape was watching her, its dark contours shifting like grotesque faces hidden within the gloom. The ship's sensors beeped wildly, warning her of hazardous conditions. She had expected turbulence, but the readings were off the charts, anomalies that didn't belong. "What are you hiding?" she whispered, gripping the controls as she initiated the descent. The atmosphere crackled with static, and the ship trembled under the strain. As she broke through the cloud cover, the planet revealed its true nature. The landscape was barren, dotted with strange, twisted structures that resembled ancient ruins. They loomed like sentinels, their surfaces glistening with an unnatural sheen. Jenna felt a chill run down her spine. The ruins seemed to pulse with an energy that was both alluring and repulsive. She landed the ship on a flat expanse, the engines sputtering as they powered down. The silence was deafening, broken only by the soft hiss of the atmospheric vents. Jenna took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay outside. The air was thick and heavy, laden with the scent of decay and something metallic that made her stomach churn. Stepping out of the ship, she was immediately struck by the oppressive atmosphere. The sky overhead was a sickly green, swirling with clouds that shifted like a living thing. Shadows danced at the edge of her vision, and a low hum throbbed in her ears, resonating with the distant ruins. It felt as if the planet itself were alive, breathing, watching. With each step she took, Jenna felt an inexplicable pull towards the largest structure, a monolithic edifice that loomed in the distance. As she approached, the air grew colder, and the hum intensified, vibrating through her bones. She hesitated at the threshold, a sense of foreboding washing over her. The entrance was dark, a gaping maw that seemed to beckon her forward. Inside, the atmosphere shifted. The walls were adorned with hieroglyphs that pulsed faintly, illuminating the space with a ghostly glow. They depicted scenes of figures, tall, elongated beings with hollow eyes and twisted limbs that sent shivers down her spine. What had happened here? A sudden movement caught her eye. She turned, but there was nothing, only the shadows that seemed to flicker at the edge of her perception. Jenna felt the weight of the place pressing in on her, and a deep unease settled in her gut. The ruins were ancient, but they felt fresh, as if their secrets were waiting to be uncovered. "Why did I come here?" she muttered, echoing the thoughts that swirled in her mind. The answer eluded her, but something deep within urged her to continue. She had to know what had happened to her crew, why the beacon called her here. It was a compulsion she couldn't ignore, even as the shadows whispered around her, promising revelations that might shatter her sanity. Jenna stepped deeper into the ruins, her heart racing with a mix of fear and curiosity. The walls pulsated with a strange energy, each beat resonating in her chest. She traced her fingers along the hieroglyphs, their surfaces cool and smooth, as if they were alive. The images depicted scenes of rituals, of the elongated beings gathering around a glowing orb, a celestial object that mirrored the stars above. As she moved further into the structure, the air thickened, and the hum transformed into a cacophony of whispers. They echoed around her, unintelligible yet insistent, weaving through her thoughts. "What do you want?" she called out, her voice trembling. The whispers grew louder, swirling in a tempest of sound that enveloped her. Suddenly, a flash of light illuminated the chamber, revealing a circular platform at its center. It was engraved with the same hieroglyphs, now glowing with an otherworldly brilliance. Jenna felt an irresistible pull toward it, as if the very fabric of her being was entwined with this place. She hesitated, doubt creeping in, but the urgency to uncover the truth overpowered her fear. Stepping onto the platform, Jenna was engulfed in light. The whispers crescendoed, transforming into a single, coherent voice that resonated deep within her mind. "You are the chosen one. The stars have sent you to us." "Chosen?" she gasped. "What do you mean?" The intensity of the light heightened, and images flooded her mind, visions of her crew, their faces twisted in terror, their screams echoing in the void. She saw fragments of their last moments, frantic movements, shadows lurking just beyond their reach, and the darkness that consumed them one by one. A wave of sorrow washed over her. "No," she cried, collapsing to her knees. "Please, tell me what happened to them." But the visions continued, revealing a truth she wasn't ready to accept. The beings in the hieroglyphs were not mere observers. They were harvesters of souls, drawing energy from the living, feeding off fear and despair. In a flash, Jenna understood. Her crew had been sacrificed, lured here by the beacon that had awakened her. The realization struck her like a physical blow. She was not just a witness. She had become part of their cycle, an unwitting pawn in a cosmic game she could not comprehend. As the images faded, the light dimmed, leaving her in a suffocating darkness. The whispers returned, this time laden with urgency. "You must warn others. The cycle must be broken." "What cycle?" Jenna whispered, panic rising in her chest. The platform beneath her trembled, and the walls began to close in, shadows creeping toward her, hungry and relentless. She scrambled to her feet, desperate to escape the encroaching darkness. Suddenly, the ground erupted with energy, and the platform surged with light once more. Jenna was thrown back, landing hard on the cold stone. As she looked up, the shadows coalesced into a figure, a tall, elongated being with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce her very soul. It extended a hand towards her, the air vibrating with its presence. "Join us," it intoned, voice echoing through the chamber. "Embrace your fate." "No!" she screamed, scrambling to her feet and backing away. The being's gaze was both alluring and terrifying, a promise of knowledge entwined with the threat of eternal darkness. Jenna's mind raced as she recalled the stories of explorers who had vanished, consumed by the mysteries of the cosmos. She would not become another victim. With a surge of determination, she turned and fled, the whispers growing frantic behind her. The ruins shook, the air thick with a tangible dread. She raced through the corridors, the shadows clawing at her heels, desperate to drag her back into the abyss. Jenna's heart pounded as she burst through the entrance, gasping for air under the sickly green sky. Outside, the planet's surface twisted with malevolent energy. The ruins loomed behind her, a dark reminder of the horrors she had uncovered. She had to leave before the darkness consumed her too. As she sprinted toward her ship, the whispers faded, but the weight of the revelation lingered. The stars were sending warnings, and she was now the messenger of a truth that could shatter the fabric of reality itself. Jenna stumbled toward her ship, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The air crackled with an energy that felt alive, almost sentient, as if the planet itself were aware of her escape. The ruins behind her throbbed with a pulse, a heartbeat that resonated with a sinister promise. She could still feel the presence of the being, its hollow eyes haunting her thoughts. As she reached the ship, the familiar sight of the airlock brought her a moment of relief. But the unease in her gut twisted tighter. She slid inside, locking the door behind her, and rushed to the controls. The ship powered up, but a shudder ran through it, as if the very vessel were protesting her return. The beacon's signal still pulsed, a siren call that taunted her resolve. "What do you want from me?" she whispered, feeling the weight of the cosmos pressing down on her. She input the commands to lift off, but the ship hesitated, as if caught in a struggle between her will and the dark whispers still echoing in her mind. Suddenly, the console lit up, displaying a message that sent a chill down her spine. "You cannot leave. You belong to us now." Jenna's heart raced as she felt the ship's systems begin to override her commands. Panic surged through her. She was trapped, ensnared by the very darkness she had tried to escape. "Not like this," she shouted, slamming her fists against the controls. The ship trembled, and the walls seemed to close in. The whispers intensified, swirling around her, wrapping her in a cocoon of despair. "You have seen the truth. You cannot deny it." In that moment, clarity struck her. The truth wasn't just about her crew or the planet. It was about her own choices. She had come here seeking answers, but in doing so, she had invited the darkness into her life. The fear she had felt, the guilt of surviving, these emotions had fed the very thing that sought to consume her. Taking a deep breath, Jenna closed her eyes and envisioned the stars outside, the vastness of space that had once filled her with wonder. She thought of the beauty in the unknown, the potential for discovery rather than despair. She had a choice, to succumb to the darkness or to fight back. With newfound determination, she focused on the controls, pushing against the ship's resistance. "I refuse to be a part of this cycle," she declared, her voice steady. The ship responded, the systems flickering, as she waged a battle of will against the forces that sought to bind her. The whispers turned into a wail, a cacophony of rage and desperation. The walls of the ship vibrated, and the lights flickered erratically. Just as the pressure threatened to crush her resolve, she felt a surge of energy from deep within, a connection to the stars that had once guided her. "Let me go!" she screamed, and in that moment, the ship roared to life. The engines ignited with a brilliant flash, and the dark tendrils that had sought to ensnare her recoiled. The ship shot upward, breaking free from the planet's grip. As she soared into the void, the planet shrank behind her, the ruins a distant memory swallowed by the darkness. Jenna felt the weight of the universe lift, the whispers fading into silence. The stars twinkled around her, an endless expanse of possibilities. But as she set her course for the nearest colony, a lingering doubt gnawed at her. She had escaped, but at what cost? The truth she had uncovered would haunt her, a reminder that the cosmos held secrets far darker than she could ever comprehend. In the cold silence of space, Jenna realized that she had not just escaped the planet, but had also become a part of its story. The stars were indeed sending warnings, and she was now a reluctant guardian of that truth. As she navigated through the darkness, she understood that the real journey was just beginning. The allure of the unknown would always beckon, but the shadows would linger, waiting for the next curious soul to heed their call.